previously on the Trading Card Preservation Society.
I made a couple of jokes about it. Topps Total has never had a problem with smearing before. Uh,
Okay, so now into the segment that we've been hyping for literally months. Um, we're calling this Dave's Every 10 Years feature, where Dave
because we
talks
can't
about.
figure out a
Yeah,
better name.
How about Dave's Decades? There you go.
There
Um,
you go. Alliteration.
yes, so Dave, I'll add my witty commentary, but Dave's going to talk about um, Topps baseball cards in every 10 years, which sort of goes along with how trading cards have changed over time. So 1955 is the first one up
1955.
here.
Yep.
So take it away.
How many sets do you think there were produced in 1955?
How many sets? You mean like,
Different
what do you mean?
different
Like
trading card
card?
products.
Oh, well, I would say
Baseball.
two.
Two. You would think Bowman and Topps, but no, there were 28 different products.
Oh, well, sure.
1955.
Sure. Okay. Like
Uh,
you're counting all these little things
Counting
like
all the
for like food
regionals,
products
all
and
the
stuff.
weirdos,
Yeah.
25 major league sets, 3 minor league sets.
Wow.
And everyone knows that baseball cards and bubblegum go together. How many baseball card products out of that 25 were uh, sold with gum? Got a guess?
Well, one?
One? No.
I don't know.
3. Bowman, Topps, and Topps doubleheaders.
Oh,
How
okay.
many were sold with meat products?
Three.
3. Trice, 8.
Like steak or what?
Yeah, well,
Hot
everyone
dogs?
knows hot dogs. Hot dogs and baseball. Those are the
Yeah.
two things. You go to a baseball game, you have a hot dog. Stores sell hot dogs too. So there are quite a few of back in the 50s where you would get uh, hot dog sellers throwing baseball cards into their product to try to push it. Um, Most of them are extremely rare because
Mm-hmm.
cardboard and hot dog packaging don't mix too well. But there
Yes.
are a few of them that you can kind of find nowadays. One of them that survived very well was the Armor coins set. This was the first of 3 set from Armor meats. They were little plastic coins in different colors with a baseball player on them. Kind of a crude likeness. They're similar to the 65 uh, Topps All Star Gold set that I'll talk about next time. Where they kind of look like the player, but they kind of don't. But they were plastic and they survived a little better than cardboard, so you can find those probably easiest of the hot dog issues. Um, Second easiest is probably the Stahl Myers set. That was 12 cards, had some stars in it like Mantle, um, Duke Snyder, Monty Irvin, Phil Rizzuto, a few Hall of Famers. Um, None of these are going to be cheap, but this is the easiest to find. Um, this was also the first series for Cons Wieners. The one, the famous "The Wiener the World Awaits" slogan that is seen on 15 years of trading cards, if you can believe that. Um, the first year they are very scarce. It's black and white series with just the basically the player and the slogan blank backed. They're very difficult to find. But later in the 60s, there's a whole lot of con sets out there that you can find fairly cheaply and fairly easily, especially in the lower conditions. Other hot dog sets are SK hot dogs, which were Orioles. Um, Hunter Wieners, which was a Cardinal set, which is extremely tough. Uh, Felons Franks, which is so rare that it's barely exists, and it's believed that the set was never actually released with hot dogs. Uh, Rodeo Meets Athletics, which is the largest set at 46 cards and 38 players, which was the first year that Athletics were in Kansas City. And there's actually one more meat related set. That is um, Mascot Dog Food, which were cards that I believe they were put on the labels of dog food cans, and you could send these labels in for premium cards, and these are super rare as well. So, but the big seller was Bubblegum. Um, the two mainstream sets, of course, are Bowman and Topps. Bowman had the bigger set, 320 cards. Uh, with the last 95 cards in the high number series, which are quite a bit more scarce than the lower series. And Topps had a 206 card set. The first 150 cards are considered the low series. Everything above that is a little more scarce. With the top set, there are four cards that were not released. Card number 175, 186, 203, and 209. There are theories onto why these cards weren't released. Some say that cards were produced, but they had to be pulled because of exclusive licensing with Bowman. Another theory is that they were going to do another series after the 210. And those cards would be found in that one kind of as a chase to keep people buying packs. Um, but if you want a full 210 set in 2005, there was a Topps National VIP promo where they kind of printed cards, not so much reprint cards, but cards that never were for those four missing cards. In the original size and on grayback cardboard. For 175 was Stan Musial, 186 Whitey Ford, 203 Bob Feller, and 209 Herb Score. So if you don't want any holes in your set as it's in a binder, you can pick up those from 2005 and stick them in there as kind of placeholders. Topps had a second set that's fairly easy to find called Double Headers. These are similar to the Mecha cards from the early 1900s, the double folds. They had illustrated pictures of the players that more or less looked like the player. There's a lot of the illustrated sets from back in the day had pictures that didn't look anything like the player, but these more or less look like the player. And one player was standing up in their illustration, and the other player was kind of crouching down or making a fielding play or doing a follow through on a pitch. So you could take the tall card, fold it the top half over, and get two different players on the same card. And they were actually numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So that has 66 cards in the set, and the 132 players are all from that low series, 1 through 150, in the top set. Now, at this time, this was a big competition between Bowman and Topps. Everyone who's familiar with the early days of baseball cards knows that Bowman popped up. They originally gum ink, and came. Their first baseball card set was Play Ball back from 1939 to 41. That was discontinued for the war, and then in 1948, Bowman came back with a black and white set. Um, and Topps popped up in 1951 with their playing card themed set to compete with them. And from 52 to 55, they went at it like cats and dogs. Bowman signing away players from Topps, Topps signing away players from Bowman. Uh, Bowman having to pull cards because he had a Topps contract. All kinds of shenanigans. And you can see a definite result in this in the two sets because Topps has their exclusives. Topps had Jackie Robinson and Duke Snider as exclusives. Bowman had Mickey Mantle and Roy Campanella. So you'll only find those in each other's set, in the respective set. But it looks like Topps ended up winning the player signing exclusive wars. If you look at the rookie cards from the two sets, Bowman's top three rookies as far as impact were Don Zimmer, Don Mossy, and Elston Howard. The three...
Good old Don Mossy.
Yeah. The three biggest impact rookies in Topps 1955, Harmon Killebrew, Sandy Koufax, Roberto Clemente.
Yeah.
So Topps has the smaller set, but I think everyone will agree that even without Mickey Mantle, they've got the better set out of the two, as far as player selection goes. Bowman, the design was distinctive. They both had horizontal sets that year. Bowman had the classic television set motif. For some reason, the low series had light wood grain, but they switched it up to mahogany in the later series. And in the final series, for some reason, Bowman put in umpire cards, which has never really been done before, and not so much since. And those are all extremely scarce because children opened up a pack of gum, saw an umpire, realized this is the enemy, and probably did terrible, horrible, awful things to that card. My only umpire card that I own actually has 2 hole punches in each eye. So,
Jeez.
yeah, which for an umpire, I mean, that actually makes a little bit of sense. I mean, they're blind anyway. They're not using the eyes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So, but Topps didn't have any innovations like that, but they did have a series of mysterious test stamps, which was 17 card set, very rare, of cards that were printed on a kind of a flimsier stock with gum on sticky gum on the back, like a stamp that you could stick onto things. Those are quite scarce, but not so scarce that you can't ever find them. But and no stars in there either, just kind of random players. So as we know, Topps won the baseball card wars. This was the last year of competition between the two, which, unlike today, when Topps is kind of in a war, but they've got at least logos on Panini. So 55, two cards, two different card companies fighting it out with licenses, and today we have two different card companies fighting out, one without licenses. Uh, so, more things change, the more things stay the same. There are a few other random sets. There's random postcard sets, a golden stamp book. Um, One of the most common non-Topps or Bowman sets from that time period is Redman Tobacco. These are
Mm-hmm.
large cards that came in pouches of chewing tobacco. This series lasted from 1952 to 1955. Was very similar all years. 50 card set, 25 American League, 25 National League. Um, of mostly stars. I think the theme was kind of an all-star team for the American League and the National League. Not specifically the all-stars, but a good selection of players. A lot of big stars, a few of the minor stars in there too. Each card was larger size than a normal trading card. And there wasn't a picture, there was an illustration or a painting, which all look very good. These can be found quite cheaply because vintage card snobs insist that the advertising tab be included in the card for it to be worth anything, and a large quantity of them had the advertising tabs cut off because you could send those in for goodies uh, um, to uh, redeem all these
Mm-hmm.
tabs for goodies from Redman. So if you want to find a really nice looking card from the early 50s for really cheap, go look for some Redman tabs without the tabs. There are actually two sets from that year that were included with beer. One Burger beer, which was Reds, and Carling beer for the Indians. So Ohioans like beer with their cards, and honestly, they should do that now. I mean, they're not really marketing towards children anyway. Let's go all out. I'd like to get a pack of cards with my beer,
Yeah, right.
but so, as far as non-baseball 1955 products, there are a few non-sport sets that are kind of big. One of them is a Topps Hocus Focus set. This is similar to the set that they had in 1948, which was one of Topps's first sets, which had a weird gimmick where you could uh, spit on the wrapper and hold it next to the card, and a photo would develop on the card, which makes for some interesting looking cards as kids tried to develop these pictures. But there's a few baseball subjects in that set. I think uh, 23 cards out of that set are baseball, but the rest are random non-sports and other sports. Um, Another uh, big non-sports set from that time was Topps Rails and Sales, which is interesting because it was sold in the same package, but it looked kind of like almost two different sets. Rails and Sales, obviously, it's trains and boats. Uh, but all of the train cards had a completely different design than the boat cards. The sales part of the set were almost paintings, very very good looking paintings of ships and sailboats, all kinds of famous boats. And the rails portion that had a more modern design. It had logos and typefaces and illustrations of the trains. So kind of an odd thing. The first time I saw them in a box of non-sports cards, I thought they were two completely different sets, but turns out they're the same
Yeah.
thing. Other sports, football was the big one. Bowman had their last hurrah with a pretty good looking football set. Was looks kind of like 56 tops. Honestly, it's player in front of a solid colored background, but there's this kind of odd halo effect around the player. It's a really good looking set and pretty cheap if you can find them. Tops had a different tack on things. As the Bowman set was an NFL set, Tops did an All-American football set, which is one of my favorite football sets ever, to be honest. All-American was showing off uh, all-time college players and had a really unique design that had a picture of the player and kind of a background with them running a play. Very good looking set. Hockey had set from Parkhurst, which is kind of the original trading card set, and Topps had their own hockey set at the time. And basketball was not as popular in the early 50s, so there was a couple of regional sets basically given away at gas stations. But that's what cards looked like in 1955. And one last thing that's more up my alley is Braves actually had two very big regional sets in 1955. One of them is a Spick and Span Braves die cuts set. Um, I think these were given away with Spick and Span uh, detergent, although I'm a little fuzzy on the whole thing. These are very good looking kind of die cut where you can punch out the player and then fold it over like it's standing up, which makes them very hard to find in good condition and very hard to find in one piece even. The other one is a little more common. Johnston Cookies did Braves sets for the first few years they were in Milwaukee, and this is, I believe, the third set from them. And all of the Johnston Cookies cards look really good.
Hmm. Yes, I agree.
So that is baseball cards in 1955.
And so next time we'll have 1965.
Yes.